You have been covering this recall of DA Chesa Boudin in San Francisco. And my question is, how did he do so much crime in such a short amount of time of being in office? Like, how was one man able to orchestrate all the crime in San Francisco in such a short amount of time?
It's really remarkable. The crime he did even before he got into office, the crime from my childhood in the 70s when San Francisco had a murder rate triple what it is now and roving teams of serial killers. The man is just an overachiever.
It's just like Inception. He's a time traveling crime creator over there. No, obviously we're being facetious because this whole thing is ridiculous. So tell me about the recall vote. What did I know that a lot of outlets already wrote their think pieces while the votes were still being counted. What did it come down to ultimately? And what is your sort of like main takeaway about why Chesa was ultimately recalled?
Well, thank you for asking. There are two major questions here, which is why did what happened happen, and how did all the national pieces get it wrong? Which one would you like me to go into first?
Either one.
I need education.
Let's start with the first one, which is more important, rather than just playing tit for tat with the New York Times and the Atlantic and other places that normally do good work, but really did have their elbow on the pulse of the Bay Area. Chesa Boudin, the website Recall Chesa Boudin was taken out before he even took office. It was very predictable that Chesa Boudin would have to stave off a recall. And separate and apart from his ideology, this is part of the structure of how he came into office. In San Francisco, we have ranked choice voting. Should I explain what that is for people?
Yes.
Okay. Ranked choice voting on its face is very simple, which is that Joe and Francesca and Mike are all running for office. And I like Mike best, so I'm voting for him first. But I like Francesca second best. I'm voting for her second. I like Joe third best. I'm voting for him third. Now, if Mike is eliminated, all of his second place votes go to Francesca and therefore it goes on. Mm-hmm. There are lots of strategies. It's just like Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that. You can, there are strategies that, that someone who wants to prevent someone from going to office can vote differently, etc. And, tabulating it does become a little bit complicated to understand the votes, but there are computer programs for this. It doesn't take longer, etc. But, what it means is that you can win with 35, 37, 38% of the first place vote as long as you get second place votes.
Right.
That means in a situation like this where Chesa Boudin, it's just, it's him on the ballot versus nobody else, Chesa or nobody. He's at a huge disadvantage because he never had more than 36 or 37% of the first place votes. He never really tried hard to get that, other 13, 14, 15%. Chesa Boudin is a reformer and governed as if he had a mandate. And clearly that was never the case. Were San Franciscans wild about Chesa Boudin's ideas? Perhaps they were, perhaps they weren't. There are a number of reasons people voted for him. He ran the best campaign. And also Mayor London Breed put his competitor into that position 24 hours before voting started. That was a crass political flex. Everybody could see that that was bogus. A lot of people probably voted for him because of that. So, that means when it finally comes down to, do you like this guy or not, he was at a structural disadvantage. In retrospect, it seems very obvious now that rather than let the paint dry on the narrative that crime is out of control and this guy won't prosecute, they should have combated that while the signatures were being gathered. That didn't happen. And that narrative did take hold. The narrative that crime is out of control, fueled by viral videos of people on bicycles clearing out a Walgreens, other things that people can see just with their own eyes here in San Francisco of rampant drug use and homelessness, gave the impression that things are out of control and things have never been worse. I'm not here to say things are great in San Francisco, but statistics are what they are. And things have been worse. Things have almost always been worse. And property crime is bad. Property crime shouldn't be excused. Property crime is not violent crime. And so I have to say, for people who have the luxury of saying, oh, my car window's been broken, etc., they can get very frustrated, and that's worthwhile, and that's not to be minimized. That's not the district attorney's fault. The district attorney statistically prosecuted it as high or higher a level than his predecessors because he wasn't trying to put everybody in jail and lock them up and throw away the key, which is what he ran on. If you're going to say that if he was more punitive, things would be different, you're buying into the bankrupt ethos of the war on drugs, etc. What's really harmful is to not have any repercussions whatsoever, to not arrest somebody, to have somebody able to commit crimes willfully. And that's the case in San Francisco because our police force has the lowest arrest rate in the entire state by a huge margin. It's like the Kansas City Royals. I've made this allusion elsewhere. They're in last place by a lot. By a lot. And San Francisco's arrest rate is far lower than the 57th place county. We're the 58th place county. And it becomes very hard to say that San Francisco police weren't doing a sit-down strike. It's very hard to say that this wasn't essentially a protection racket in which the police said, we're demoralized. We can't do our jobs. He won't prosecute. Well, here's more money. There you go. And is it a protection racket? Is it not? It's a distinction without a difference.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Do it.